So this is another one of our Week in Wrestling podcast videos, which is the title that I'm going to start giving these things. And obviously there's only one story this week, the sad passing of Brodie Lee, aka Jonathan Huber. He died sadly on December 26th, 2020 of a currently undisclosed illness, and a lung illness, I believe it was, wasn't it? But it was specifically said that it wasn't COVID related. And what we're going to do is we're going to discuss, obviously, the events surrounding that for a little amount of time. And also we're going to discuss the reaction, because this is unheard of to me. I mean, this is probably the first time that I've ever seen the wrestling world unite in such a way to anything ever. You know, I've been on the internet, you know, when the Macho Man died and everything like that, but I've never ever seen such an outpouring of love and support and grief has been shown these past few days for Jonathan Huber. You guys are obviously you're gonna educate me, because as I've talked ad nauseum in the past about myself being out of wrestling, literally just only getting back into AEW. The little tiny bits that I've seen over the past few days of this man, Brodie Lee, particularly from BTE, have been hysterical. I've really, really enjoyed them. But you guys just educate me. Talk about the man. Talk about your favourite matches. Talk about the legacy that he's going to leave behind as well, after a sad passing at 41 years old, was it? Which is way too young.
Yeah.
Leaving 2 children behind as well. And fire away.
I'll let Gary take the lead.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Thanks, Brian. Cheers, Mark. Well, I first really like to send my condolences out to the family and friends of Jonathan Huber. From what I've heard, he seems like he was one of the nicest guys ever to be in the wrestling business, which when you hear about backstage in that business, it seems like it's dog eat dog, basically, which is a lot like his character when he was portrayed in the Wyatt family, and even the stuff nowadays with Dark Order, where he's sort of top of the food chain, sort of just leading people. But I think backstage he was leading people instead of like a cult, but leading people in the locker room. I really think that the wrestling business is poorer without him. I love the fact that he went and made an impact on so many people. Like, even with his character 90% of the time being heel, he always had this warmth about him. It came through on the TV screen, whether he was part of the Wyatt family or he was in his own singles run or with the Bludgeon Brothers, or even recently through BTE or AEW. I just think that he'll be sorely missed on whatever version of Brodie Lee that you liked, whether it was Brodie or Luke or John. I'm still in shock, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, shock is definitely the word, because over the last few days, since the news was announced of his passing, I've found it really, really hard to locate what my feelings are of the man. Instead, I've just spent a significant time on Twitter, on Facebook, and listened to wrestlers or other wrestling personalities and fans, obviously his wife, and people that he touched personally, and listened to what they had to say, and just educating myself on more of the man rather than the wrestler. And by all intents and purposes, he seemed like a really, really decent bloke. Like, we've said it time and time and time again. These kind of characters, the real life personas of Brodie Lee's level, they're rare in wrestling. They are very, very rare. I know he left WWE in quite sad circumstances. He lost his way. He wasn't on TV as much. I can't really clarify why. I'm just assuming that it's because at that time he was so injury prone, and they basically just saw no real future in him because he had so many injuries, and they had nothing really for him, and he was just sitting out his contracts. And yeah, it came across when he was released that he was kind of bitter towards WWE. And I don't think it's that. I just think he needed a fresh start. It didn't come across to me like he was the kind of man to go knocking on Vince McMahon's door and saying, I want a WWE title shot. I want to be the WWE champion. He was probably more accepting that he was the perennial mid-carder in WWE. The person who is so fucking good, so talented, and realistically, he could be WWE champion, but it, for whatever reason, is not and doesn't seem to be in his future. So he's accepting of that and decided, well, you know what? This is my role. My role is still incredibly important. That, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go out and whoever I face, I'm just going to make them look better. He was so selfless, so selfless. The amounts of tag team matches he was a part of, where I just thought like the opponents, even at the time, I wasn't really big on the Usos. When they faced the Usos, that's Luke Harper, aka Brodie Lee, and Eric Rowan. When they faced the Usos back in 2014, I wasn't really big on the Usos. I didn't really see much of them. They weren't really on TV all that much, granted, but you know, they was just starting to get a bit ahead of steam, and they were given title opportunities, and you know, showing that they could go. However, when they faced Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, they came off those two or three matches looking like they were the best tag team in the company. And that is because of the lights. And not just Luke Harper here. We've got to give credit to Eric Rowan for this as well. But it's because they were in the ring with him. Partly because they were in the ring with him. That's just who he was. And yeah, it's really, really fucking sad, really sad, because I've always thought big of him as a wrestler. I've always really enjoyed his work. When he debuted as part of the Wyatt family, this was when I was in a bit of a down period with wrestling. Like, I was only tuning into WWE to see two people. I was tuning into WWE to see Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. Those are the only two people I were interested in. At this point, I wasn't even interested in The Undertaker anymore. I was just like, yeah, okay, you'll get the one match at WrestleMania, and that's always must see. But, you know, I wasn't really as interested in him. Like, if he just quietly retired at that point, I wouldn't have been fussed. You know, that's just how, you know, down I was on the business as a whole. You know, I'd stopped watching TNA by this point as well. So I was tuning into WWE to see these two people. And then you had the likes of the Shield debut. And then shortly after, you had the Wyatt family debut. And I'd seen a little bit of the Wyatt family on NXT, but nothing that really caught my eye. But when they first started on WTV, they were just so different than anything else. And immediately I was hooked in. You had Bray Wyatt, who was this like cult leader. I mean, it looked like he'd been studying people like Charles Manson and, you know, just adopted that kind of thing as a character and talking all this spiritual shit that to us makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. But you couldn't help but listen to every single word he was saying. And then you had these two people who were seemingly possessed by this guy, Eric Rowan, who, you know, he was just a guy in a boiler suit with a big beard, and he wore a sheet mask. He wasn't really a character to him, I would say. You know, he was just there. And he was a good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he was just there. And then you had this guy who I'd heard of but never seen before. A guy that had long hair, which was balding, and it was all over the place. Bit of a beard. He didn't have his fully grown beard at this point. He just had a bit of a beard. And he wore dirty jeans and a tank top, which had like gross sweat smeared onto it, you know. And I just immediately saw him as a star. This was a guy that did not fit the WWE mold at all. Yet he stood out. He stood out. And that's before I even saw him wrestle. When I started seeing him wrestle, you just see this guy who was like, I think he was like 6'4", 6'5". He wasn't a short guy. He was quite tall. And I won't say heavy set, but he had a frame to him. And he could do anything and everything. If given the chance to, he could do a moonsault. He's shown that he could do a moonsault. You know, I reckon he probably could do a fucking 450 splash because he was that agile. This was a guy that was like a 120-pound man in the body of somebody double that size. It was so fucking insane. And that year, 2014, where, you know, the White family faced the likes of the Shield and the Usos, and then he had his singles run as the Intercontinental Champion against Dolph Ziggler. You know, it really opened my eyes to what an incredible wrestler he was. In terms of his legacy in wrestling, I hate to use the terms underrated or underappreciated just because he wasn't a WWE champion. Those are the two words I've seen bounced around quite a lot over the last few days. But, you know, I don't see him as underappreciated, undervalued, underrated, because he wasn't. Like I said, you know, people from enhancement talent to mid-carders to the main eventers, they all have an important role that are equal as one another. You know, they have their own distinct reasons for having this role, but their individual purposes make them equally as important. So as much as I would have wanted to see him as WWE champion, I never ever saw it as important. It's not about me at the end of the day. It's about, you know, whether they see him as a WWE champion, or even if they did see him as a WWE champion, but they saw more value in him as a mid-card or what have you. Yeah, as much as I would have loved to have seen something more, I also saw the fact that he was an incredible wrestler who was so giving to his opponents and always had good matches. And I will fucking miss him. I really will. You know, I haven't really seen much of him in AEW because I haven't been watching wrestling much this year. But honestly, I was looking forward to him coming back and seeing what he was capable of in a single, you know, I won't even say as a singles run, but as the leader of Dark Order and, as people said, at the top of his game and heading for huge things. It's so sad that we won't get to see that. It really is sad, but I'm going to miss him, and my heart goes out to his family because, you know, I mean, we speak personally. We've all lost parents, but we've lost our parents whilst we're adults. This is the thing that saddens me the most about this. You know, he leaves behind an 8-year-old son and a 3-year-old son. I mean, I can't imagine what his wife's going through right now to tell them to, you know, that they're not going to see the dad again, and them not really truly understanding. I'm pretty sure Brodie Jr. is more understanding of the situation, but he's over a child. It's fucking hard. It must be fucking hard, you know, and that's where my thoughts go more than anything. You know, his wrestling career is second to that at the end of the day. And yeah, like I said, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I share the same sentiments there. It's a really, really horrible I can't imagine being one of his little ones is 8 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, Brodie Jr.
And they're having to go through all that, and so obviously that leads on to the things that Amanda. So Amanda put out a statement. Was it yesterday, with regards to a lot of a fucking piece of shit article that went through PW Torch, which again doesn't help the grieving process whatsoever, especially this early on. And it's really, really touching. Obviously I read it today, but it also leads me on to, what Tony Khan's extended towards the family and towards Brodie Jr. specifically. If you guys want to go into detail about that.
Yeah, I thought it was a lovely gesture over the last few weeks, leading up to Brodie passing away. Like what they've done for Brodie Jr. to bring him in, give him his own little dark match against Kenny Omega, make him the champion, just make him feel like his dreams still can come true no matter what. I think for an 8-year-old, that's going to mean the world. And he's going to live off that for a little while now. And the contract situation where they've given him a guaranteed contract if he's older and he wants to fulfill a dream to be a wrestler at that point, they've given him that opportunity as well. And I think Tony Khan and AEW are really trying to do their best by the family, and it really shows that company in a fantastic light. I can't praise them enough.
Yeah, this is obviously something we won't talk about on this because this is a solitary subject, but it's somewhere down the line. It also shows AEW's, passion for staying in the business and not being WCW 2.0, which is something we'll discuss in the future. Obviously, you don't give a lifetime contract to any talent whatsoever at that age. It's incredible. But it obviously shows that they are in this business for the long haul.
I'm very much looking forward to the tribute show.
Yeah, so obviously I'll explain as we're recording this. The tribute show is actually tonight. That'll be kicking off in probably, is it 5 hours? On AEW Dynamite. Was there an AEW Dark on last night as well? I'm not entirely sure.
There was.
Yeah. So what transpired on there?
Just a few matches, maybe just a couple of mini mentions. That it wasn't really edited for it. I'll be honest with you.
So there's a pre-recorded thing.
Yeah.
Right. They basically they don't want to take anything away from the main show. Yeah. That's where the tribute's going to be.
Right. So there obviously has been a lot of criticism. There's a lot of praise. I think there's more praise than criticism, again, when it comes online. But also the people who don't go online, I'm pretty sure that everybody would be, very touched by what AEW are doing in terms of this. But there has been some criticism online about Impact Wrestling, actually, and the WWE. So there's still these comparisons by this bloody poison corner of the internet that we all know and hate.
Yes.
Where they're saying basically Impact Wrestling could have done more, I suppose, even though we all know that's a recorded show. That was probably recorded in fucking November. But they've still added little segments and tributes in to their show on Tuesday, whilst WWE kind of limited theirs. If I don't know if I've got that right, I might be wrong, but that's the criticism that I've kind of picked up on from odd sources.
Yeah, WWE. I've actually not seen any criticism for Impact, so I can't really speak of that. From what you were saying there, that information, I might, my thoughts on that are, that they're not at liberty to pay tribute at all, really. He wasn't a former Impact Wrestling wrestler. He's never wrestled for that company. They're not at liberty to do anything more than pay their respects. That's it. In terms of WWE, again, I haven't watched Raw, but I've taken what people have said about that show. and they're saying that they could have done a lot more. You know, they could have given him a video package, they could have given him the 10 bell salute and all this shit. And my thoughts on it are, why? He wasn't a WWE legend by any stretch of the imagination, and that's not a criticism on him or WWE. It's just a fact that he wasn't built, or he wasn't built as a legend. He's not been dubbed as a legend since his passing by WWE. They've just acknowledged him as an important wrestler at the time of it, his career in WWE. That's basically it, and they don't really give out the 10 bell salute that much anyway. They don't do that a lot. It's quite a rare thing. You know, they usually reserve that for the people like, you know, the Howard Finkles of the world, you know, not somebody that was just a mid-carder. They've never been that. So to expect more, that's on you. But even then, I don't think they don't have to go that far. They don't have to go that far. They know that he wasn't under their employment. They know that he was under the employment of All Elite Wrestling. That's their business, not WWE's business at the end of the day. They should pay tribute, and they did pay tribute. They gave him, you know, the card, you know, at the beginning of the show. They paid tribute to him on the show by saying it's Monday, you know what that means. And, you know, the commentary paid tribute. You know, Drew McIntyre and several wrestlers paid tribute in their own way by, you know, be it just using his phrase or doing his taunts or doing his moves. And that's all you really should expect from WWE. That's all I expected of WWE to do. At the end of the day, they know that he wasn't a part of their roster. He was part of another company's roster who will pay tributes with all the bells and whistles, no pun intended. And they've allowed them to do that. I don't think for as bad as WWE is, I do not believe they are petty enough to step on another company's toes when it pertains to things like this. You know, they did good by Brodie, in my opinion.
It's a weird one because I mean I can see both sides of the coin here. You're completely right in what you say that, you know, he was hired by AEW, so it's kind of AEW's, I don't want to say responsibility, but it's up to AEW to do something fitting. Let's put it that way. But on the other side of the coin, the reputation that the WWE's got for literally not acknowledging that there is any other company in the world, you know, which also includes essentially wrestlers. There are no other wrestlers in the world. There are sports entertainers that work for us, and that is it. That's all you're getting, sort of thing. So there is both sides to the coin, but
they still,
if you do it for one, you have to do it for all, in my opinion. And that becomes problematic.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the point that we're at. You know, we're at. You can't expect more from WWE at this point. You know what you're going to get. You know, and here's the thing as well, is that fans was complaining about, oh yeah, he should have had a video package. Well, if he got the video package, this is the thing. Fans are fucking spoiled at this point. They are. The people are going to try and find fault immediately from this. You know, they're just going to try and find fault no matter what. If they did the video package, they want a tribute show. If they did the tribute show, they'll want the Hall of Fame. It's simple as that. You know, you can't expect more and more and more and more all the time. It doesn't work like that. Understand what WWE's reputation is here. You know, understand what they've done for past superstars of his ilk that have passed on. It's never going to change. It's never going to change for one person. So it's, you know, it's simple as that. You know, it's just not gonna. So stop expecting more. Just accept what they did. At the end of the day, they still paid tribute to him. They still acknowledge a wrestler for another company that used to be under employment has passed away, and they paid tribute. I mean, as much as I would have wanted more personally and things like that, I know that it's not what they're going to do. And it's not up to me to tell them how to do it either. You know, I just appreciate the fact that they did do that, because maybe 15, 20 years ago, they might not have done that of somebody of his level.
It's not even 15 years ago. They wouldn't have done it 6 years ago.
Yeah, for somebody that,
look at Umaga.
Oh,
Umaga, right?
Yeah.
They never even acknowledged his passing.
Yeah,
they've come a long way from that. And if you're talking about a similar ilk, former Intercontinental Champion, couple of WrestleMania appearances, yeah, he is the quintessential comparison piece.
Yeah.
And they at least acknowledged Brodie Lee.
Yeah.
Which for WWE is out of this world in terms of what you would expect from them, especially within wrestling for a different company that we don't acknowledge, as we've said.
Yeah. I also think of the possibility that, there is some kind of line of communication between the two. And I'm not saying direct communication. I'm just saying like maybe like a VP at WWE has got in contact with, say, Chris Jericho or another, ex-wrestler that's on the AEW roster, and just said like, okay, what are your plans for this Wednesday? And they've got back to them and said, well, this is our plans. And they said, okay, we won't overstep the mark. We won't step on your toes. We'll allow you to do that. Allow you to do your tribute. And we won't try to eclipse it. Because here's the other thing. This is something else I really want to bring up. Is that if you're expecting WWE to, to do everything in terms of a tribute, to give the 10 bells, to give the video package, the tribute show, or what have you, if they're going to do that, they're going to eclipse at what AEW are going to do. Guaranteed. They're going to do. They've not done that. They've understood they've read the room. They've read the room, and they've paid tribute to him in a lovely fashion in itself. It goes to show that there is growth. But at the end, even though there is growth, under Vince McMahon, they're not going to give the 10-bell salute to every single wrestler that ever wrestled for that company. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if you, just for an example, right? If I was to throw out some names of the 90s, 1999, 2000 time of WWE, probably the best years of their history, people, I could throw out names like Steve Austin and The Rock, and they're instantly recognizable, but there's also people like Crash Holly that are instantly recognizable. I mean, his reign as the hardcore champion, the 24-hour, 24/7 reign was entertainment gold, and he's well remembered. When he passed away, he got a passing mention. They mentioned him on fucking Sunday Night Heat. Not Raw, not SmackDown. They mentioned his passing on Heat. Now, that was 2003, 2004. And it just underlines the growth that they've had. But that is also under Vince McMahon. They didn't give him the 10-bell salute. So they're not going to give someone of Luke Harper, Brodie Lee's stature a 10-bell salute. It's just weren't ever going to happen. Maybe when Vince is gone, when Vince is no longer running the company for whatever reason, I'm not wishing death on the guy. I don't like the guy. I'm not wishing death on him. But, I'd like to think whoever takes the throne, be it Steph or Triple H, most likely to be Triple H, they will try and take that company forward and build on its reputation. And maybe, just maybe, in the future, with future passings of ex-wrestlers, no matter where in the card, they'll at least get the 10-bell salute. But just don't expect it as of present, because it's just not happening.
No, I mean, there's nothing to say that they haven't recorded something for SmackDown either.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't seen out yet. You know?
You know, like there is the rumors that they were recording things backstage at Raw.
Yeah.
So maybe there is something for SmackDown to sort of allow AEW to get their tribute out of the way before they do their thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. But it also brings up a point. I actually retweeted a thread by, apologies if I pronounce his name wrong, because I don't know how you pronounce his name, but it's Trevor Dame at Trevor Dame on Twitter. He said, one thing that is honestly good about the age of social media is that people can share touching tributes to loved ones to the world and not be dependent on, will a TV show give me a graphic or allow me to acknowledge it before a wrestling match? You watch those Owen and Eddie tribute shows and there are undeniable sweet and touching moments, but there are also awkward moments and spots where you feel like this poor person is in no emotional state to be on national TV. And I think that is important to consider here as well, is that if they actually did put those kind of things on TV, it's never comfortable. It never is. And I'm not saying that it ever has to be, you know, it's ever going to be comfortable. But it's just, again, like you see these people who are breaking down on TV and they're clearly in no fit state to be put in front of the camera, but they've been told, here's a camera, give us your thoughts. The fact that WWE haven't forced any of their wrestlers, be it Bray Wyatt, you know, people that were associated with him more directly than most, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, the fact that they haven't done that is, I do appreciate that a little bit. I really do, because it's just...
Well, all I can say
it's not comfortable. I think it's just like just shoving a camera in front of somebody who's grieving and expecting them to talk. It's just so undignified.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to you know, when Brian Pillman died and they put his wife on the day after.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I would like to believe that the WWE has learned from its mistakes and realized that fucking is not the way to go about it whatsoever. Like, it was the day, it was literally like 23 hours later.
Yeah, but they also did the same with Martha Hart.
Yeah, and it's just in the quest for ratings that there was nothing that they wouldn't do.
Yes,
I think with some people it's kind of a bitter pill to swallow because they've done that in the past, but then, you know, we get what we get for Luke Harper, who used to wrestle here in the WWF. Again, that's why I'm saying there's two sides to the coin essentially. The WWE is not a good company. Well, you know, we've done that to death. You know, the independent contractors, blah blah blah. You fucking name it. And even to this day, as a company, it might be the fucking gold standard of being a wrestler in a ring. However, they still get shit wrong to this day. But I think that this probably is one of them moments whereby they've learned from the mistakes and kind of thought, I'm with what Gary said. You know, we don't know that there's nothing on SmackDown. Get Dynamite out of the way first, because then AEW's leading the tribute. Even though Impact did put something on, AEW's leading the tribute because nobody really thinks about Impact Wrestling anymore. That's the whole point for the partnership with AEW, is to try and get them back on the map. I'm with you on that one. I'd be very shocked to see if to not see something on SmackDown.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that people are saying that, oh, they didn't add the tribute package and things like that. We're also talking in 2020 when social media it's the king of the world right now. It really is. It's the go-to place for everything, for your news, for, you know, your just any form of entertainment, anything. It's there.
Yeah.
And on the day after his passing, WWE were posting documentary videos that hadn't been released before of John Huber, the man, talking about what wrestling means to him, where he debuted, and talking about his family and tearing up about talking about his family, that kind of thing, and paying the respects with other things like just Luke Harper's best moments and things like that. To say, okay, yeah, they didn't do the video, the video package on TV, but you still are getting them.
Yeah,
in different ways.
There definitely was. I mean, just to pluck one out of the air, Steph McMahon used hashtag RIP Brodie Lee.
Yes.
And that's an AEW trademark. So there is that cross. I don't want to say cross promotion because that's the wrong word, but you get what I mean. There's that unification of everybody in wrestling, mourning the loss of one person who's obviously left a profound effect on not just people but fucking companies, and that's very hard to come by.
And also look at AEW's Twitter. They were retweeting quotes from WWE wrestlers. They retweeted a quote from Vince McMahon. I know it's not Vince McMahon himself; it's his fucking intern on that,
Yeah.
But they still did that. That by all intents and purposes, that is Vince McMahon's account, and they retweeted that. The fact that
you look at WWE itself. Vince always has the final say. Like he's not going to have the final say in his Twitter account. It's true, isn't it?
He doesn't. Right. The thing is, though, is that he might give like little tidbits and things like that, but by all intents and purposes, he doesn't run it.
Yeah.
He does have an intern who will just say post something about this. It's good PR. That kind of thing.
Obviously, when we were doing the Rovers Trust thing, we had a PR officer basically, and one person wrote, and they're very good at what they do because it has to be right. It's not as easy as it as it looks like it is. You've got to write something that is correct, and you are then past that to then tweet out from your own account. That's usually how businesses work. That's why I get so annoyed when people say, "Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo has just tweeted this week." You think Cristiano Ronaldo tweets? Don't be stupid. It's product placement. It's always advertising something or saying that he's the best player in the world because he's won an award. He's advertising.
And same with Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Oh yeah.
It's the exact same guy. They all have PR teams. I had to break. I can't remember who I broke it to. Did I break it to you, Gary? That the Iron Sheik's Twitter is not run by the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
At this point in his life, I don't think he could healthily use his own fucking thumbs to tweet on a regular basis like that account does. It's a lot of people are like that. A lot of the big name celebs. I think Steph runs her own account. I think Triple H runs her own account, but Vince McMahon definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to at this point. I don't even think he knows how to log into Twitter.
No. Well,
the most culturally relevant thing I've ever seen Vince McMahon do was when Pokemon Go came out, and he said, "There's a ghost in my gym," and it was just him with a ghost Pokemon. I think it was Ghastly in the room with him. That's as culturally relevant and to technology Vince McMahon has ever gotten. But yeah, I doubt he knows how to even hashtag.
Well, speaking of social media, I'm going to read this out because it got me big time. So obviously this is from Bray Wyatt's Instagram. You were my best friend, my brother, my partner, my Terry Gordy. We changed the whole game because we refused to do it anyway but our way. We were always at our best when we were a team, and I'm starting already. I think we both knew it. We fought like brothers because we were. I'm so goddamn pissed. This isn't how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be us, fat, bold, and useless, running Wyatt family spots in school gyms into our 70s. Where do we go now? What do I do knowing I'll never hear your condescending sarcasm as I'm riding high? I miss you so fucking much already. I would do anything just to live through our worst moments again. I can't believe you're gone. I'm sorry, brother. I'm so, so sorry. You will always be a part of me, whether I like it or not. With you, without you, everything is different. And I hope Amanda truly knows that I am here, not just to say it, but because I love them too. I will make sure your son knows the incredible man that you were. Not the legends people will tell, but the real you that very few people got to see. I promise I'll put him over clean in dark matches when he's old enough, just like I promised. I'm hurting so bad. I wish I had a chance to say goodbye, but then again, it's Saturday and you know what that means. Save me a seat next to wherever you are. That's where I belong. I'll be there when it is my time. Goodbye forever, Brodie. I love you.
Yeah,
that just sums it all up, doesn't it? Like the ability to be able to put humor in there as well, in a when you've lost, you know, essentially family. It's really something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard. It were hard to read. It's hard to even listen to the words. But it again, like it goes to show the impact that it had on somebody who, before teaming together, he didn't really know. He didn't know it was just a peer. You know, they've ended up bonding, and Bray now feels like he's lost like a life partner. That it just it says everything to me about who John Huber was as a person. You know, I mean, it's not just Bray; it's everybody else. But Bray in particular is one of those people that you remember him associating with. Same with Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman. Like those are the people. Those are the best times for his career, you know. And fuck, man, that statement, it's got me choked up all over again. Like, it must be hard to lose your best friend. I mean, I've been fortunate not to have lost. I've lost a close friend. Don't get me wrong, but I've not lost someone I call my best friend. I can't really relate to that, and yeah, it must be like losing family, and essentially Braun as well, but Bray has lost someone he calls a brother, and yeah, it's sad reading. Is that really, really sad?
Yeah. So obviously, you watched quite a bit of WWE. You watched Luke Harper in WWE, and obviously Gary watched a lot of Brodie Lee in AEW. So what I'm going to move on to is obviously, and I know you sent me a list yesterday, but I want you to give me what your top 1, top 2 matches from each promotion. So if Brian wants to do WWE and Gary wants to do AEW, or if you want to swap over and you can think of one for the other, by all means go for it. This is an education process for me, because obviously then I know what to go and look for and what to watch.
Well, for me, it's hard to like put like a top 1 and a top 2, because I enjoyed him in equal parts measure in the Wyatt family as he was as a singles competitor. And so with that in mind, I'm going to name the best Wyatt match, best Wyatt family match, my favourite Wyatt family match, and my favourite singles match. The favourite Wyatt match was against Shield at Elimination Chamber 2013 or 2014, I think it were. It just a barn burner match. I mean, with those people in the ring, you can't not have a good match, you know. And it's just insane 6-man action at its fucking best. Probably one of my favorite 6-man tag matches of all time. I put it up there. It's just so fucking good. in terms of his singles career, I'd really love to put the ladder match against Dolph Ziggler as my number one, but I also take into account that that was a stipulation. You're working around a prop, which makes it so much easier. And obviously, working with Dolph Ziggler, he's going to fucking sell his ass off for that prop as well. So, as good as that were, the singles match against Randy Orton, I think it was at Elimination Chamber 2017, maybe Fastlane 2017, one or the other, just fucking amazing stuff. I think that with that point where, like, I personally felt like, okay, here we fucking go. Luke Harper is going to get his chance. He's the one that's going to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the WWE title. He's the one that's going to knock Bray Wyatt off his throne. And it just never, ever happened. It never happened. And again, it comes back to what I said before. Most likely, his injury issues, because he had so many in such a short period of time that I just don't think they ever saw him ever taking that mantle, and it's such a shame. But again, like I said before, he didn't really need it. But I mean, I just got suckered into that. I felt like, this is a guy. Yeah, he got beat by Randy Orton, but he's the one that's going to face Bray Wyatt and take that title. I genuinely believe that. And, shame it never happened, but it wasn't in vain, because we had, I'd call at least a 4.5 star classic between him and Randy Orton. Probably the best match he ever had. But I defer to Gary here, because he's seen one match that I haven't seen that everyone raves about. He's seen the Brodie Lee versus Cody Rhodes match. So, shoot, Gary.
Yeah, like when it comes to AEW, either of the matches that Brodie Lee had with Cody Rhodes were spectacles. I genuinely enjoyed his squash match over Cody. Probably more than the dog collar match, which ended up being his last match, ironically. But he's still, despite his health and everything, still put in 100% on that night, and that says everything. I can't appreciate that as a wrestling fan, and as a fan of Mr. Brodie Lee, because let's put some real sort of storyline respect on his name. I can't say how much I appreciate that. Like, apparently his issues were going back to like October time, and nobody knew about it apart from maybe a couple of people, and he still tried his best. It's insane. Wrestlers are insane. For the effort that they put through for us, like for me, you, Mark's enjoyment, Ryan, everyone, we can't underestimate that escapism that their matches gave to me. Like even his match against Dean Ambrose for the world title, like I highly recommend people go and watch that. Because if you want to see a version of Brodie Lee you never got to see in WWE, that's the match I'd tell you to go and watch. It's his entire AEW run from start to finish was almost booked perfectly. And that includes his run on BTE, which, again, my favorite 5-minute segment of wrestling-related content every week. And I don't know how many times I've said that, but literally, he made me laugh so much.
Yeah, well, I openly admit that that being the elite is like always falling underneath my radar, and I missed a real trick there, because I watched the edition from this past Monday, the tribute to Brodie, where he had John Silver, Alex Reynolds, I think his name is.
Yeah, it is.
You know, they were just sat paying tribute to this guy, and they were the only two. There were a couple of others that were in a car that I couldn't really make out who they were, but they paid tribute as well. But it was just them two talking about their favorite moments of Brodie Lee, and obviously they were showing clips from being the Elite, and for a guy that, you know, in these, which are just glorified road stories, really, aren't they? They just go, what wrestlers just get up to when they're fucking bored on the road. They just start prattling about and, you know, just doing random shit. But just seeing Brodie just get into all these, into the likes of John Silver's face, just going, "Are you crying? Are you crying?" as he's trying to hide his laughter, and Brodie's not breaking at all. It's fucking incredible stuff. Really, really good stuff. The throwing the paper skit, just throwing a handful of paper at the people's head repeatedly. It's like, it resonates with me personally, because I love old school British comedy, and that is old school British comedy. That is so fucking slapstick, and it's those things where you just see it once, and in most cases nowadays you'll think, oh yeah, okay. After the third or fourth time, it's just treading the same water. You're doing this over and over and over again, and it's just funny. And just trying new things as well. Just ringing up Evil Uno and just saying to him, "I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take a handful of paper, lift it up, and throw it at your fucking head." And then Uno just putting the phone down, picking the paper up, shrugging, and then hitting himself in the head, and then just falling to the ground going, "Ah!" I mean, you can just tell that all these segments were conducted by Brodie Lee.
Yeah.
It just is, from the stories that we heard, his sense of humor. He was the one that's come up with all these ideas, and these are the execution of these ideas, and fucking some of the funniest shit I've seen in wrestling in a long, long time. Just, if and it's so sad that we never got to see this, because I can definitely see a time where the Dark Order become the Light Order, and I even include that in the name. You know, they just change course. They're full-fledged faces. They're the Light Order now. You know, and I still would have seen them, like the rest of them being on the side of good, with just this guy who is still evil in a sense. You know, they're basically just like I wouldn't even say taking over. They're just like the inmates running the asylum type thing. They've changed the name behind his back. You know, they're doing all these good things behind his back, and him throwing paper at them on TV. Oh my God, that's just ratings. That just equals ratings for me. That is what I look for in wrestling. I love variety and I love comedy in wrestling. And you know, I just would have loved to have seen that on TV. I really would have. Just brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Can I just say, right? My favorite 2 minutes of Brodie Lee AEW goodness would definitely be when he got Sue to throw the paper at John Silver and it landed on the floor. That. So he got John Silver to pick it back up and hand it back to her, and then told him to sell for Sue. You will sell for Sue, you little bitch, right? And he's clearly there, and the only time you ever saw him crack was during that segment, and it was great.
Yeah,
just.
And even when she threw it at him and it just hit him lightly, and Brodie's like, yes, do it again. Like, that would never hurt him. It didn't hurt him at all. It just like a further touch. He's like, yes, so enthusiastically, do it again. It's like, what the fuck am I watching here? Just so fucking good.
You just had this sense of a group of guys just having fun.
Yep.
And to me, that's what wrestling's about. Like, whether you're playing a heel or a face, right? The actual wrestler behind the scenes, the person that's acting as the wrestler character, right? They should always be having fun.
Yes.
Because if they're not
100%.
having fun, it comes through the TV and nobody wants to watch it.
I mean, we only need to talk about Dean Ambrose in WWE. I mean, the latter end of the run, even though he wanted the heel turn, just everything that he did, you knew he wasn't enjoying. You know, he didn't enjoy wearing a fucking gas mask on TV and starting calling people smelly. I mean, that is so, it's so juvenile. Like, you know, haha, you smell Wisconsin. It just like, you know, it's not what he wanted. He just wanted to be an edgier character. You know, he didn't want to do the comedy stuff. And what you see now with Dean Ambrose, well, John Moxley in AEW, is that everything that he does, there's very little to no comedy. But what he's doing in the ring, the wrestling just, you know, it is happiness, the enjoyment, the fun that he's having shines through in every single move that he does. You know, this is the whole point of being a wrestler. You know, it's not just to make money, you know, just to wrestle because it's what you always wanted to do. You've got to be having fun. It's with every job. With every job. If you're not having fun at your job, it will eventually catch up to you. You know, everything you said resonates with me there, Gary. You know, he was having fun, and you could tell he was having fun, and that's what I want to see from my wrestling. I want to know that the wrestlers are enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, it's just that it's the biggest key to me enjoying it. I'll be honest with you.
Yep, same here.
Like, if I can sense that the wrestler on the TV isn't enjoying it, well, it's a dream job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So if they're not enjoying it, then there's something wrong with what I see as the dream job. And at that point, it sort of takes me out of it. But if you're having fun, there's nothing better.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I've got a hell of a lot of content to watch by the sounds of it. Like I said, the only thing that I've really seen him in was the BTE, and that was almost as if it was a tribute compilation that was uploaded on either Sunday or Monday, with a few interviews in there as well. So yeah, I've got plenty to watch, and I will be doing that over the course of the remainder of my time off work. Is there anything else you guys can think of?
Not really. Not without going down the rabbit hole and talking about Bruce Mitchell. There's nothing really else. So I do want to say my thoughts on this without getting angry about it. It's just that it's not about Bruce Mitchell here. Bruce Mitchell's article where he claimed he was being an investigative journalist when he wasn't. He was writing an article on conjecture, on his own feelings, you know, his own opinions, that nobody brings up COVID unless they have it. You know, that kind of thing. It's just ridiculous. That article was absolutely abhorrent. Less than 24 hours of Brodie's passing, you're essentially accusing his wife, his widow, of taking hush-hush money to cover up a COVID scandal in AEW. You know, like, she'd actually fucking do that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but, you know, that it's not about him. You know, good on PW Torch for fucking parting ways with him after that. I mean, really good on him because he doubled down on it. But if you, as a wrestling fan, read that and you believe that, I mean, I just ask you this. Why, realistically, why would she accept a bribe from AEW to cover up a COVID, a COVID scandal that resulted in her husband's death? You can say money talks, but money talks when it's, you know, the bigger the value of the money, the more that money talks. She would not accept a hush payment from AEW to cover up a scandal, you know, that resulted in her husband's death. She would have taken the company to the cleaners for that. I mean, get a grip, guys. Not everything's a fucking conspiracy. This year, we've had so many conspiracies about COVID. You know, this isn't one of them. Let a widow grieve, you know, before you even think about saying shit like that or believing what somebody else has said about it. You know, just let her grieve. The notion is, it's ridiculous and it's heartless.
I mean, I've seen today the replies, the response to him being, you know, terminated. But he's not been terminated, but let go of his job, if you like. And he has just sort of affirmed his stance on it, Andy, really, in a very, very long tweet. I think there was something like 7 tweets in that thread. But to go on with what you're saying there, surely, you know, if your partner has just passed away and it is COVID related, one, like you said, well, if the company put him in that position, then yeah, you're taking the company to the cleaners and you're going to get way more than the hush money that they're going to offer. But also, you'd use that as you know, to spread awareness of how serious this shit is. If he died of COVID, you'd just be like, right, guys, the guy died of COVID. Put a fucking mask on, wash your hands, and we'll all get through it. I don't want to see anybody else die. You'd do that as just a normal human being. You would do that. It just sounds like this dickhead that wrote that fucking article had his own opinion, decided to abuse his own position, knowing that he had a lot of followers or subscribers to the blog, and knowing that he had a big name behind him, which is what PW Touch is, just to fucking put some sort of fucking conspiracy theory, I think you said, a conspiracy theory out there that isn't even remotely near the truth.
Yeah.
It's just blatantly obvious to anybody that's got eyes.
Yeah. It's simple as this. The reason why she said that it was non-COVID lung related, you know, non-COVID related lung issue, that not those words exactly, but she said it were a non-COVID lung issue, I think the word she said actually. But the reason why she said that is because if she hadn't said that, the immediate response is, did he die of COVID? For fuck's sake, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. You know, if somebody dies, the first thing you are going to think of naturally is COVID. I mean, we had it with Sean Connery. You know, when Sean Connery died, people were saying, was it COVID? No, it wasn't. He had cancer. You know, it speaks the truth. I've known of people, you know, not personally, but like friends of friends to have died this year, or family of friends. Like a workmate's dad died this year, and immediately people were wondering, was it COVID? When it wasn't. He was ill for a long time. He didn't even have COVID. You know, that kind of thing. It's just think about these things before you go and make wild accusations to a grieving fucking widow, for fuck's sake. You know, just think about these things. As I said, not everything's a fucking conspiracy, guys. And this definitely shouldn't be one of them at all. It just seems like, to me, it's the Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington situation all again, is that people just can't accept that a person's died and they need somebody to blame. Chris Cornell's widow got blamed. Chester Bennington's widow got blamed. It's the same thing again. Just people can't accept that somebody they idolized, somebody they respected, has passed away for whatever reason, and they need someone to blame. It's all it is. And, you know, there's a lesson here. Just stop blaming widows, please. Or widowers. Just stop blaming.
I've got to be honest. I weren't expecting you to go down the Chris Cornell route. That's the tattoo I got today, Chris Cornell. I think that's uncanny how you fucking said that. No, again, I can't disagree with you whatsoever. They just the guy who wrote it. What's his name?
Bruce Mitchell.
Bruce Mitchell, fucking hell, he actually sounds like a WWE road agent, to be honest. Fucking hell. But it just seems to me like that is your typical Trump voting, non-mask wearing, clickbait writing piece of shit. To be brutally honest, he's just found a way to put COVID in that story to make sure it gets a shitload of hits. Well, and PW Torch will have fucking made some advertising revenue off that. I can fucking guarantee it. However, they've just lost a 30-year blogger. So swings and roundabouts, if you ask me.
Yeah, and podcaster, because he actually did a lot of work for them, and he was well respected. But I just searched his name on Twitter, I searched his account, and I just to underscore the type of guy that he was, that he is, sorry. Unfortunately, I'm getting no results. It just say, "Oh yeah, this account doesn't exist," so it's pussified and he's deleted his account now. But to underscore the kind of person that he is, he really doubled down on the story that he put out, the quote unquote story, should I say, saying they didn't regret a word. And shortly after saying that, he was reviewing Raw, and he was live tweeting as he was watching Raw. And he turned around and said about Alexa Bliss something on the lines of, if Alexa Bliss was on Pornhub, her videos would be deleted. Like, the fuck are you talking about? He was basically because Alexa Bliss, she's always had the Harley Quinn thing about her, the persona and all that. It was basically just saying that she was a subpar Harley Quinn porno. That's what he was getting at. Something on those lines. And I mean, that really just underscores the kind of person that he is. That article wasn't a one and done thing. The guy is genuinely a piece of fucking shit.
I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me because, like she's not even a pornographic version of Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's the pornographic version of Harley Quinn.
But that's what,
it doesn't make any sense.
No, but that's where he was going down, and where he was going down. And there were like a lot of abhorrent tweets about Alexa Bliss going around at this point anyway, because she was stood in the middle of the ring in a dress and pigtails, and all that was beneath her was quote unquote gasoline. That Randy had poured, and she, it looked like, it looked erotic to some people, and they thought they could just poke fun about it. Very sexist tweets, and he basically just ran with that. He ran with that and just basically just saying like, if this Alexa Bliss segment was a video on Pornhub, it would have been deleted. Like, you just fuck off, dude.
I just find that hugely bizarre. I've seen the photo of Alexa and Randy Orton in the fucking ring, and it's blatantly obvious what the chair. I know she's standing in a puddle, but I know that there's a fucking gas canister leading to the puddle, so it's obvious what it is. Even me and my dark brain, the first thing you think is, well, yeah, it's petrol. Or in wrestling, it's petrol, and it's obvious that it's come from the fucking gas canister. But it just sounds like he's just, I don't know, he sounds really creepy. Like, bizarrely creepy.
Yeah, it's, I mean, yeah, I have nothing more to say. He's an absolute fucking creep. He looks like a creep as well, He looks like exactly what you'd imagine somebody that tweets something like that about Alexa Bliss would look like. Let's just say, he's a Christopher Hitchens looking kind of guy, fucking freak, just, big man hiding behind a Twitter account. Like, just grow up. Seriously, just grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not fucking better by what I've just said, but he fucking deserves it. He really
I think there's a difference. I mean, when you're on a platform, and there's a difference. I think there's a difference. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and credit to PW Torch for parting ways with him, because of all, it's a respectable brand, and you do not want people like that tarnishing it, no matter how long they've been with you.
Yeah.
30 years he was with them, that's out the window. Just, don't associate with them. But I will say one thing about PW Torch. You were right on money about them, getting a lot of clicks and revenue from that. That article should never have been posted. No. It's a massive lasting judgment that the editor, I know it editors Wade Keller, allowed that to happen. I know people just say, like, well, he was a respectable journalist. He probably didn't feel like he had to read it. I mean, the headline said it all.
Yeah.
You needed to read it.
Yeah.
You've allowed that to be posted, and then you've only taken it down after there's backlash. I mean, come on, PW Torch, Wade Keller. I respect Wade Keller a lot, more than most wrestling journalists. I respect him, and more often than not, I agree with what he's saying. But you don't fucked up by allowing that to be posted, and you are. I'm not saying you are as responsible, but you still have blood on your hands, and you do owe your readers an apology. And I haven't really read the statement, but I assume that he has said sorry for allowing it to happen.
Gary, anything else to add?
Yeah, actually, I do. So I've been listening to both of your statements, right? And I can't say that I disagree with any of it, but I do have to say, right, just one thing. Why is it our business?
Yeah, exactly. It's not our business.
It's nothing to do with us. It's nothing to do with Bruce. It's nothing to do with PW Torch. It's nothing to do with anyone apart from his family and his friends, what happened to him. All that we need to know is that he has passed away and that there's a tribute show and that, we get to grieve our own way through the show tonight, right? And show our appreciation to everyone that was connected to him this way. And that's what matters. We're celebrating a life.
Yeah. I mean, I can completely agree with that. But obviously, his fans are going to want, and I think it works both ways. That the family will want to offer. It helps. With
the family will give the information when it's time.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be.
It's just right now. It's a grieving process. We've all been through it.
Yeah.
Right. You want certain things at certain times to come out. Like, there's no more raw than when my dad passed away, Mark.
Yeah.
Right? Because you saw me 25 minutes later.
Yeah, that was fucking weird, man.
That was very weird. But at the same point, I understand why people would be guarded about reasons. And the fact that it was stated it was not COVID related should be enough for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I said, it's none of our business, the exact reason at all.
Yeah, exactly. This is a thing as well. It's like Mitchell was he was talking about, like, if somebody of the LA Clippers had died suddenly, wouldn't you want to know? And it's like, it's not about wanting to know. Of course you want to know. It's human fucking nature. Yeah. There's a big difference between wanting to know and having the right to know. If the family says they don't want to reveal, they don't have to reveal anything to you. Going on this investigative thing, or lack thereof when it pertains to Bruce Mitchell's fucking shitty article, that is poking your nose where it do not belong. Where it does not belong. You are, by effect, harassing a grieving widow and their two sons. You just don't do it. Just don't do it. If you want to know, wait and see if they allow them to. We've been through this over and over again. It was the same thing with Kylie Ray when she left AEW, and then when she left Impact Wrestling, people saying that, oh yeah, well, we paid for her merchandise, we have a right to know. No, you don't. This is not Kylie Ray, the wrestler. This is the person, who's obviously dealing with something. She doesn't have she does not have to tell you shit. Just because you paid fucking $12 for a bloody t-shirt that, you know, rips in the bloody the wash after a few washes. You know, just because you pay that $12 does not give you a right to every little little corner of her life. You know, don't allow you into every corner of her life. As simple as that. You know, allow people, wrestling personalities, wrestlers, sports stars, actors, musicians, whatever, allow them to have their personal time. You know, they're entertaining us tirelessly. We owe them to not pry. It's not just about death, it's about everything. You know, just do better. And I was saying, you know, that ain't ever gonna fucking happen. So I'm just shooting the shit into the void here.
I mean, it's in the hope that one person listens and say, well, you know what, actually, yeah, I actually agree with him, and if I were in that position, I wouldn't like it. It's worth saying. I mean, I don't need to tell anybody about, you know, somebody passing away and then the media reporting it before I even get a phone call, because that happened.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think the media is scum to me as far as I'm concerned. And I include websites like PW Torch because all they do is they make money off, you know, remember the Undertaker thing where everybody's saying, oh, he's broke, he's busted, he's no money left. And that's the reason why he's having to do these WrestleMania matches, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. And I even tweeted the same as Gary's just said there. I'm like, what fucking business is it of yours? Eric Bischoff, Dave Meltzer saying, oh, he's bankrupt. He's gone bankrupt. Again, the guy wasn't even in wrestling. Why the fuck are you sticking your nose in?
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
No, it's nothing to do with us.
And then, although somebody like Meltzer, and as horrible as it is, his mum passed away and everything like that, if somebody else had reported that Meltzer's mum had passed away before he did, well, fuck me, we were near the end of it. But he'd be all right. He's all right prying into other people's affairs and making sure that all the news breaks. It's just media. And it's gone down. It always has gone down a really horrible path. But now, you know, with the internet, with social media and everything like that, it's just a quest. On TV, it's a quest for ratings, and on the internet, it's a quest for likes and clicks. It's a simple
and trending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who dies. It doesn't matter how they did it. It doesn't matter. They want to get paid. And that is as simple as that.
Yeah. I'll just make it, you know, think of it on a personal matter. You know, like I said, we've all lost parents, and, you know, it's approaching 10 years since I lost my dad, and that he's still raw. He's still raw. It doesn't ever change. Now, imagine, like, back when he died, that I just confided, say, you, Mark, or you, Gary. You know, obviously, I don't think I knew either of you back then. But if I confided in you, and then you went and plastered it all over fucking Twitter, I'd have a right to be pissed off about it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. And by effect, this is what you're doing. You know, if you are prying into the lives, you're doing it so you can find the reason, and then you can just say, "Yep, it was this." You know, you're harming people. You're harming people by doing that, just for the sake of attention. You know, just think about if it was one of your family members. Just think about that. Pretty sure we've all suffered grief in one way or form or another. You know, and if it was one of your family members, or, you know, or even a friend or a pet, you know, that people just started posting without your prior consent, you know, it's hard. You know, it's really, really rough. That's why, like, you know, like I said, it's still raw for me, you know, 10 years on. Like, and I will, when the time comes in a couple of weeks' time, I will talk about my dad. But if I don't talk about my dad, and people turn around and say, I understand today is, you know, it's the 10th anniversary, you know, your dad's passing, why are you not talking about it? I will get fucking angry about that, because I have my personal reasons why I wouldn't. You know, it's not talking about a personal situation like that is not to be expected of anybody. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that as well. So, as we draw this to a close, if there's nothing else that you guys can think of.
No, I think we've said everything that we really need to now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've pretty much covered as much as we can regarding the sad passing of Jonathan Huber, and also, you know, a little bit of you know, how the companies have handled it and how the websites have handled it. We hope that obviously we hope that our opinions have not offended out there. Obviously, this is meant to be kind of like a tribute more than anything, to remember the man that sadly passed away at 41 years old. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. AEW Dynamite will be on. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you very much for tuning in again to a Nitrogen podcast video, and we'll see you again very soon.